We the owners address understand and agree that I will install my roofing system. The price of the replacement shall be the amount of the adjusted estimate specified as RCV as well plus overhead and profit. And supplement.
I just think it's a disadvantage to put that there because they construe it and they use it against you. Like for example, if that contract goes to the insurance company, then the insurance company is going to try to construe that.
But that never goes to the insurance company.
I realize that, but if they ask your customer without you knowing, and I'm saying, I'm sure this customer's great and wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But, or if they say, anything, right? And also your homeowner could misconstrue it to you. And you say, no, sir, it includes any supplements, and plus any supplements, but they don't understand supplements and overhead and profit as much. Maybe they sat down with you in a detailed presentation and they heard that word a bunch of times, but they still don't. That was then. People forget 70% of what they hear within 48 hours. You know what I mean? So it's just, in my experience, that is a way for them to
all the procedures without,
because
any number.
No number at all. Just like the paperwork I sent you. You don't have to make it exactly, but I mean, that's the most crucial part, is where the project total is. Do not use dollar amounts, man. Don't use any dollar amounts because it's going to be misconstrued against you. Like, for example, you have a homeowner, everything is great in the beginning, right? And you get involved and you do the project, right? And you go to the insurance company, you submit a supplement to them, right? And ASI, the insurance company, instead of calling you when you submit the estimate through to ASI, instead of calling you first to respond to the estimate that you send them that's, 17,000 or whatever it is, higher than the 12, then when they call you, or instead of calling you, one of the most common tricks that they do, all insurance adjusters, is they call the homeowner and they say, we just got this crazy estimate from your contractor. Who is this guy that you hired? You see what I mean? That's the first thing they do. It's a common tactic. Even though your estimate, it has building codes and it's exactly accurate, it's more accurate than anybody's going to make it, right? No matter what. Have more photos and everything. But they get it. The insurance adjuster, one of the most common tricks, it's almost, you have to warn your customer that they may call you and say, who is this guy that you hired? That's one of the first things they try to do, is to put division between you and your customer. You see what I mean? So if the customer says, wow, my insurance, because everything seemed great, but when the insurance company looks at it, that's supposed to be where you're validated, right? Everything you've been telling them is confirmed. But one adjuster gets that paperwork and calls them and says, who is this guy? I just received this insane estimate that just has all these things. We don't pay for any of this stuff. Like, where did you find this guy, right? Mm-hmm. And then so the customer then calls you and says, he says you sent him an estimate for $17,000. And you said, yes, ma'am, I did. We said we looked at the first estimate that they wrote and we reviewed it just like I told you we were going to do. And we put all the items that were missing and rewrote a new estimate and submitted it to them. And then the customer says, yeah, but we have a contract for $12,003. And you're like, yes, ma'am, but if you look, it also says, like we discussed, do you remember when we were talking about this in your living room over and over and over? We discussed that includes supplements and overhead and profit and blah, 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 blah. You remember that? Oh, I'm just confused. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. And the adjuster wonders how I even found. You see what I mean? Now all these things are like miscommunication, misunderstanding. You're doing the right thing. And the customer's not really sure because they hear the adjuster and they hear you, and now all of a sudden they're not really sure. What if they've been dealing with you for 3 or 4 weeks now and they don't necessarily like you as much as they liked you the first day anymore? Because they've been waiting for whatever for you to do this or do that, and it hasn't transpired, or something you said might happen with the adjuster hasn't happened yet, and they're not really so sure about you anymore. And 7 other guys knocked on their door.
Well, this is what they could if anything happens, let's say you want to take them to the court, so the contract without price will not stand in it.
No, bull. Who says that? I was involved. I was involved in a $500,000 lawsuit that started with a lien, and all it had was our simple agreement. It didn't even have our detailed agreement that looks more like that. That just says we've been hired for the total insurance RCV. That's all it said on the agreement. We've been hired for this claim number, total RCV, and that's all it took to file a lien for $500,000.
Yeah, but even you file a lien, it's not gonna do anything for you unless you go to the court.
No, it will, of course. But I'm saying they can't sell the house. They can't sell the property. They can't go get a home equity loan. They can't do a lot of things. And also,
but then how much?
Okay, so look.
How much is the lien number?
Right, and we'll get there. But I'm saying like this right here is in McKinney, right? What county? Collin County. So if you went to Collin County right now and you looked up that address or that name, right? You could look up that mortgage. It's public information. You go look at the exact mortgage that's on that house, right? And in that mortgage, it says that if there's ever a lien filed on the property, they have an obligation to cure that lien within 30 days. Or they can put a I forget what the term is, where they basically say, I forget what that, there's a technical term where they say, we invoke the right to force everything due on the loan right now. Or you're in breach, you're in default. You see what I mean? Like there is no more a monthly payment, like you pay it, sell it, do something because you didn't cure the lien. I mean, that's the first step that we used before taking that to court. So we filed a lien, then we went to the mortgage, then went to the mortgage company and started shooting them certified letters with copies of the lien. So there's other things you can do.
So you contact the mortgage company.
Exactly, because they have an interest in the property.
With the homeowner.
So like if you just file a lien, the mortgage company may never even know that you filed a lien.
So
that they're in breach of their mortgage. They're in breach of their mortgage contract. You see what I mean? So the deed of trust or whatever, the mortgage deed, it's public information. Every mortgage deals with insurance claim proceeds. It's all in there, dude. It's right in there. And if there's a lien filed against the property, can you imagine how bad that is for the mortgage company? Because if you look up the laws on it, like the Chapter 52 Texas Commerce Code, and mechanic liens and all that stuff. So like if you were to file a lawsuit, right, you could actually force a foreclosure on the property. You could force a foreclosure on the property. And you can't do it when it's a homestead. Like there's technicalities. So homestead meaning like this is your homestead. I mean, this is a house that you own, but you live here, right? So this is your homestead.
But for most of the people, it's like
with most people, it's like that. So commercial jobs, you know, like for me with that job, it was a commercial job. It was an apartment complex, so it wasn't a homestead. You can but nevertheless, whenever they go to sell the property, right now, if they're just going to be in the house forever, and you know that, and they're like, you file, you know what I mean? Then it's not going to work, right? But if they want to go get a home equity,
so you can't even sue them.
Right, you can sue them. Yeah, you can sue them. You can get a judgment against them and do all that. But the only thing is you cannot force a foreclosure. You cannot force the house to be sold. So people will say that I'll foreclosure. You can't do that. That's not. You can't do that, right?
Yeah.
But you can get a judgment. You can do wage garnishments. You can do a lot of different things to force them to pay that, right? So, but the other thing is. When they go to sell, this is where I've gotten paid with the liens, is I'll get a call from the title company like, hey, where can we meet you to get you a check for such and such money because we got to clear up this lien to close on the property. You know, so if they want to move anywhere, do anything with that house, they're going to have to deal with that. And they have to deal with you before the mortgage company.
And you have to file.
You take first position.
Time.
So if the house went into foreclosure without you, like let's say the mortgage company already had it in default, right? And they were in a foreclosure proceeding. You file a lien. Mortgage company, like if they go and auction the house, right, in the foreclosure, they have to pay you before they can pay the loan. You see what I mean? You take first position. That's a big deal. So forget about what's going to happen in court and when they're going to sell it. If you notify the mortgage company right away that there's a lien, the way they're thinking is if someday this goes to foreclosure, we got to pay this contractor first. You see what I mean? That will get their attention. So there's methods that you can use. And besides that, certified letters to the homeowner, notice of intent to file a lien. You know what I mean? Like once those things start coming and they know you're serious, that a lot of times will get them to pay. I mean, this is all assuming that everything went bad and you're in. With all that being said, I personally believe, having gone through all that, I don't believe that taking clients to court is worth a damn. I don't think filing liens against them is worth a damn. I think the threat of filing a lien, right, is more effective than anything. But if you actually have to get to the point where you actually have to go to the courthouse and really physically file the lien, like pay the $20-something and file the lien, which you can do at any time. You don't have to wait. Some contractors have to wait. But if you actually have to do that, then you've already lost at that point. You know what I mean? Like it's already a sad deal. Like that you had to go to that point. Like they didn't take you seriously enough, and it was bad enough to where you did decide, yes, I'm filing a lien, right? And you didn't just decide to walk away from it, you know. So I just always think I try to get the money from the customer. I try to stay ahead of them. So if there's ever a disagreement and they want to pull out, then they have to come to me to ask me to give them money. Not the other way around. Not me coming to them like, hey man, you owe me for all my time.
But look, how you know how depreciation works. So
at
it
the
always
end,
comes
right at the end, you're the guy.
Correct.
You're the guy left. Yes, correct. But if you like I told you yesterday on the phone, if you supplement ahead of time, okay, before you bill, if you file the supplement, the initial supplement request, your estimate before, right?
This is the thing. Here is the initial supplement. So this is the agreement. This is the adjusted report.